Welcome back to the table, friends. I'm your humble host, GreyDMs. With me, as always, is Owen.
Hello.
Today, Jason joins us once again for what will hopefully be a quick and concise podcast.
What do you mean?
Hey, no,
They all are, aren't they?
it's not really, yeah, right. Punchy.
You
right
don't
to
have
the
any
point.
going over an hour.
So, if I'm keeping track of things, I think this is one of our last podcasts of the year. So, we want to give you guys some holiday tips or talk about some fun things to think about during the holiday as far as
Don't do it.
table.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Whatever you're thinking about, don't do it. Specifically today, we wanted to have a short discussion, talk with two people that I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of imaginary adventures with about chasing after essentially what is the holy grail of TTRPG play, or the big memorable moments.
Boy.
So let's get some
BMMs.
Better than a BM.
Let's go. Okay, so let's get some to clear, concise kind of definitions here. So we're going to discuss memorable moments that you pull and you talk about for years that happened at the table, and kind of how can we foster an environment in which those happen more. But basically understand that we're basically trying to get a common understanding of what makes a game moment truly unforgettable, setting apart from just a fun session. So what is a holy grail moment? A moment of high emotional resonance, strong narrative significance, or unexpected player agency that players recall years later. It's basically the story you tell your friends.
Mm-hmm. And usually once you tell that story, you finish it by, well, you had to be there.
Yeah.
Often, yeah. Difference between it and just a fun session is that a fun session may be enjoyable and it may be memorable, but like a memorable moment is transformative for the character and the ongoing story. Example, winning a standard fight is fun, but winning a fight by sacrificing your only magic item to save an NPC is probably memorable.
Yeah.
So some key characteristics. Often it has emotional weight. And often probably elicited strong feelings of fear, elation, moral conflict, or heartbreak, maybe. Maybe high stakes, something important was on the line. Unexpected player agency, the player did something the GM never planned for, and it worked. Or narrative pivot, the moment changed the direction of the campaign forever. So, let's start the discussion here before we move. What comes to mind when we say memorable TTRPG moments?
Well, do you want examples or just things that we think?
Yeah,
are
let's
great?
all get calibrated. So, what was an example of a moment that you're like, that was my holy grail moment, or that was one of my big?
For me, it was probably the first time I fucked some people over playing in one of our earliest vampire campaigns.
Waffles?
Waffles.
Wow. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of set the stage for a high that I've been chasing ever since.
That was a like, hey, I want to try heroin moment. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it was like, it was a moment of, it was a moment of trust because I was depending upon one of the other players not to screw me over because I knew two of the other players were going to screw me over.
So, yeah. So, for the audience, because we are talking about this, we'll just a brief high level overview of what happened.
Mm-hmm. We were playing vampire. I was playing a character that was kind of an information broker, so to speak. And two of the players that were with us were, I don't want to say they were power gaming, but they were, we want to get as strong as possible, or as strong as possible, as quickly as possible.
And colluding to do so.
And colluding to do so. And they thought, and this, for myself, for Max, for Gray, this was our first real foray into tabletop RPGs. And they thought they were being sneaky, I guess. Like, they didn't think that their motives were obvious to everyone that was there. But as soon as they found out I had particular knowledge, which now thinking back to that moment, the only way they would have known I knew such things was meta knowledge. So kind of bullshit to begin with. But anyway, as soon as they found out I had that information, I went to my friend who was playing Aventru at the time.
And who our characters were started under the assumption that they were college.
Yes.
So this made sense why it was also like, even vampires that don't trust each other, like you're probably going to trust your college friend over these two random people.
Yep. and made the request that he implant a memory or a tick or a trigger. Yes, that's a better word.
We had
for
to
it.
very carefully tell the GM why this would work.
Yes. So the whole thing was, if I ever come into a situation where I am questioned under extreme duress against my will, I would simply begin to start talking about waffles. And at the time, I think even the DM at the time was just like, this is dumb, but I'm just going to let these guys do it.
Because he had the thing of like, he's like, I'll let you do something stupid, but he's like, how would that work? And I was like, look, the description of the power says this by this token, where this is the trigger, and then this is the effect, that the person that we're using the ability on would be overcome with all their knowledge and fondness of various types of waffle.
Yeah, their preparation, varieties, things like that. And literally the moment came the next game. Like, it wasn't even... there was no like, oh, I forgot we did this. It was basically the next game was like, hey, do you think they're going to do it? And they literally do it. And it was one of those situations where the villain's just like, I got you. I know I got you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And like, there was smugness and, laughing. And then they're just like, so tell me, because you have no choice but to tell me. I like Belgian waffles. I can eat them with fruit. It's not the way I prefer them.
Blueberries really great. Or you said something like that.
Yeah, blueberries are really good, And like literally, like then I stop talking and then I look, and one of the two is just got this like, it's still a smile on their face, but it doesn't reach their eyes anymore. And they look at the DM, and the DM is nodding. And he's like, so you have your answer? And he's like, no, I don't have my answer. And they press me again, and just like, frozen waffles, I prefer fresh. If you can make it yourself, a real, waffle iron, Belgian waffles, fantastic. What is he doing?
Yeah, I love them looking at you and then looking at the DM and then looking at you and having that brief bluff moment of, oh, this is still working, right? DM, are you going to correct him? And
he literally stops. He says he's telling you about his love of waffles. That is literally all he can think about right now. Yeah, and we had to explain it to them.
It was because, the DM had to say, like, they outplayed you. Like, they set this up. They're mechanically, everything is happening according to our understanding of the rules. There's nothing weird happening here. They just outplayed you. And that was the first the first taste of that I had heard. It was just like, oh, that feels good.
Yeah. And literally have been chasing that ever since. And I've gotten my tastes of it here and there, but
good ones.
But yeah, that's what I love.
Yeah, no, that was one of the greatest things, because I had a part in it, and because I got to sit back and like just watch and looking back and forth, and that smugness. Because I mean, I'm sure we can tell this. One of them was the storyteller's girlfriend, and so she's like,
yes,
like I'm going to get mad soon if you don't explain what's happening. And the other one was like a really kind of smug, who we'd learned to be kind of a piece of shit guy, but like he was like keeping the smiling face on the whole time, like ha ha ha, everything is.
I'm part of this too.
Yeah, like, oh, this is great, right? Like, wait a second, aren't you going to correct him? And he's like, they adapted to what was about to happen and they fixed it. He can only think of waffles in this moment. That was a good one.
Yep, that's mine.
For me, player-wise, would be the Jason and the Thinblood incident.
The thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And then we tried to put to video through AI means.
Yeah. I mean, there was plenty of times, like with Broman and stuff, where moments that I, like, wow, that's really cool. But I think when that happened, that was the first moment in role-playing where I was like, wow, I just really screwed up.
Decisions have consequences.
And it really hit home where, people died and it was all because of me. The whole plan I had laid out just fell to pieces out of bloody Thinblood at my feet. Yeah.
who was in your hands just a moment ago.
Yeah, for a brief moment. Yeah.
Help me, Jason. Help me.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
No, that was a great arc, because I loved that, like, our discussion about your character and why your character felt so passionately against, the crown and the tower, and then your decision of I'm gonna motivate all these.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a good idea. And then the other players, specifically, one this is a bad idea.
Literally, you're not doing anything with those Thinbloods, are you? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
It was like,
I'll send the car.
It was the moment when I remember it clear as day when you said to me, you're like, yeah, they're all gone. It's like, where did they go? Well, you rallied them and they're,
oh no,
no, they weren't supposed to do that yet.
It was such a one, yeah, because it was so, you delivered it so perfectly, because in our history of playing together, when you first joined us and I didn't know you that well, I kept kind of categorizing you as the poor man's version of this other person who used to play at our table, and it was just because it was a misunderstanding of how you played, but you did what I saw as chaotic things, and I was like, oh, so he's doing it like this person. That's how I understood you. And then when we finally got around to especially that game where I was like, everybody's gonna have to sit down and come up with their characters, and I had known already that you were I live and die by the dice, I live and die by my idea, this is what I'm gonna do. You laid out the character, and your character had two attachments. This attachment to this rebelistic, not fitting in hatred of the people in charge who scorned you, and the sheriff. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, that's bad. It was just the anarchist kid whose dad is the sheriff, kind of thing, and you're like, well, this is obvious. So the sheriff's just like, come on, man, you're gonna work security tonight. You're like, oh no, this is not the night to be out there.
Yeah, because I just remember getting there and everything was on fire and screaming and dying.
You threw a Molotov cocktail at the sheriff? That's not gonna work. Oh, they're gonna die. And then it's just the inevitability of one of them's gotta see Jason sitting there and be like, help me.
No witnesses. Sorry.
It was so good. It was that perfect, your character just learned this great lesson. And everybody was just hysterical watching it happen.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. No, that was
And Keith sat in his tower.
Yes, he did. It was just oh, the ruffian. Don't worry, security will take care of this.
Yeah, because I think that was the first game where I was I always tried to play my character, like you said, but that one I was so 100% committed to this ideal of, we're going to take these Thinbloods, we're going to, balk against the machine and come out on top. And one night, the whole thing was destroyed.
Yeah, because literally up to that point, it had been a couple weeks you had been working on this situation.
Yeah.
It was the perfect mixture of, because we had the echo moment later on when you basically were hanging out with the pack of anarchs, and then you basically told the wrong person the thing about your sire, and he was just oh, we're storming the tower tonight. And then you kind of got that Thinblood was just the perfect.
Yeah, so both times I caused the wrong problem.
Jason was just I immediately regret my decision.
Yeah.
Now he's in Florida.
Trying to hide.
Yeah, those are great. Good moments. Okay, so as we go back to the key characteristics that I mentioned before, but now we can kind of look at them. If we break down, there's some moments that make those moments different than other just fun things that happen at the table. So for starters, we mentioned emotional weight. Absolutely true on that one.
Very emotional.
And then, of course, the emotional weight of you very much getting to be protected in the moment when these two other players were turning on you, but also the emotional satisfaction of just I am ruining your day.
Yeah, the proverbial pulling the rug out from underneath them. That's my drug.
So both of them high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Unexpected agency. That both of them, I mean, you stirred a whole revolution into progress. Like I often think of in the Stephen Brust books in Tekla, I think it is, when he consults one of the Dragarians about the Tekla revolt, and like she says something to the effect of like, oh, if you had waited 200 years, this would have worked. I often think of that was the Thinblood thing of like, oh, if he had just waited another 10 years or something, this could have happened. But like, it just, that speech worked too well.
Yeah.
They all like rallied behind you. And then of course, whether there was a narrative pivot at that moment, I think kind of that was the first moment when it was clear at the table that it was 2 people and 3 people. That we were not all one team. And I think that was also a big moment when Jason was like, I cannot act pettily.
Yeah.
Like I need to make bigger decisions.
It's just such a shame because all of that happened. You had someone who was more than willing to help you out of that situation.
I know.
And instead you ran off with the pack.
So good. All right. So if we pull back and we say, okay, from a GM or a storyteller's perspective, what can you do now that we switch our hats and put our DMing hats on? What can you do to provide an environment for these things to happen more often than if you just kind of stick to the peek in the book kind of things. So one of the tips that we have is design for dilemma, not damage. So moral ambiguity. So like create situations where the right answer has a terrible cost or where wrong answer is highly tempting. Example, save the innocent villagers or secure the artifact that could end the war. Cinematic framing. Design environments with interactive elements that invite unique solutions. So like when the chandelier hanging over the Duke's head or a crumbling rope bridge, the villain monologuing while standing next to a stack of flammable barrels. I think that basically teaches players to interact more with the environment, but that's kind of like low level of getting into this. Ticking clocks and imminent threat. That one was pretty big for what we were talking about, Jason. Time pressure amplifies stakes and forces impulsive, memorable decisions. The ritual completes in 3 rounds, or the poison spreads in 10 minutes. So then also execution and improvisation. So the rule of cool and consequences. So when a player proposes a genuinely inspired, unexpected action, let them try it, even if the rules don't perfectly cover it. Crucial caveat, make the consequences fit the action, good or bad. A memorable moment is not earned, or is a memorable moment is earned, it's not free. I think both of those, yeah, because they knew. Like they knew that they knew they weren't, for Owen's example, they knew they weren't like sly anymore. They were like, we have to play this a little bit more aggressive. Spotlight management. Ensure every player gets a chance to shine and contribute to the major moment. If one player is dominating, pivot the scene to involve the quieter player's unique skill set. That seems familiar. Oh, well, I could speak to why that doesn't work sometimes. Falling forward. When a player fails a crucial role, turn the failure into a new, compelling narrative challenge rather than a dead end. You failed to lockpick the door, but boys alerted the guard in the next room, turning the stealth mission into a chase. I think one of the memorable notes, like failure is a place where this can bloom. So often if something fails, especially if you get into like 5th edition where like you're like, oh, you failed to pick the door, the descriptors stop there. But one of the things that can lead is like, how did you fail, or tell me about how this fails? I think once again, going to Vampire, we have one of our favorite terms is when someone failed to feed.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it just mutilated the pores. Trying to feed on, eventually throwing his body around.
Not only that, he chipped his tooth.
Yeah, he broke his tooth. But that was the thing, is like you have to develop this sense that you've seen the start of something happening at the table, and you can kind of, as a storyteller, you're going to kind of want to favor your narrative over what's happening, and kind of you're going to want to like inject to keep the group going. And you need to fight that if people start laughing. when people are in the moment, that's when you can kind of like feel the magic in the air, like, oh my gosh, that is really funny. And you have to develop this sense of like, okay, stop trying to push the narrative and enjoy this moment. Give it fuel if it needs it. Let the group determine if they want to move on or not, or, don't like, okay, like, yeah, but like the door opens anyway. And
yeah.
So are there any other things that you guys can think of? Oh, let's put it this way. Do you guys have a moment that you've seen someone have one of these moments that you like while you were DMing or while you were?
Yes. While I was playing, it was one sentence. It was 4 words. Literally, it was the last game, the last session. Everything was set up for a couple of the players to get everything that they wanted. And then one person just said, I fired the arrow.
Shoot the Heartseeker arrow.
Yes.
That was before, that was the player who I originally thought you had the similarities with.
And it's funny because I was a player that up to that point, everything was kind of a goofy, wacky, eccentric, chaotic moment. And then he does that and we all sit there stunned that he just did that. We're like, what? Why? And he goes, well, you guys remember every time I asked this question, did I see this? Did I hear that? Which he was referring to these moments where the explanation of what he had been chasing after wasn't what he thought it was. And every time he wasn't there for that explanation specifically. So at the end of the game, he thought one of the other players was the one that did something awful. And the whole reason he had been out, hunting for whatever he was hunting for. And at that moment, that person was about to gain control of the world for the most part.
The strings of everybody's fate.
Yes. And he had been holding on to this Heartseeker arrow almost the whole game.
Oh yeah, like very early on, you guys got a boon with like the goddess of the moon. It was exalted for anybody who really cares. And I think at one point in time in a recent podcast, we kind of went over pieces of this.
Yeah.
Most of it is old and doesn't really matter. But the point is that this player was not the one who was constantly making moves in the game. He was kind of happy to be there. And there came a point where all the players could ask a boon from like essentially the manifestation of the moon goddess. And like he didn't know what to ask for, so he asked, he was like, could I have like a magical arrow that was guaranteed to hit whenever I shoot at it? Like that kind of thing. And I was like, this is such a cool idea. I've seen it on a bunch of shows. That's a wonderful thing. I'm going to give you one of them because, that could never go wrong. And he just, he didn't like plan out this large thing. At some point he realized that while a portion of the narrative was involved around everybody thinking that one of the players was a betrayer and then realizing that the player wasn't, his character just never was at the place where they realized he wasn't. And it wasn't like a thing that he tried to do. It was a thing that came out organically, but then he recognized, oh, this is now a thing. And nobody realizes
no one else put that together.
And then it was just this series of like, by my inaction or a carefully subtle action, I can put myself in a place where I don't realize this. And I continue to do until the end moment where on one side of the table, you had this colossal failure with a player who really was not very smart in the game and Owen getting everything he wanted by telling him to go kill himself. Kill this stuff. And on the other side of the table, you just had 2 of the players going off, and one of them Max was fixated on this meta plot and getting involved in it and doing all this stuff, and he finally did, and the other player's like, now I get my revenge. I pull out the Heartseeker and I shoot him with it. And everybody just like, what? What did you say? And then, of course, the first question is like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And then he explains it. And it's logical and it makes sense, and everybody's like, whoa, what just happened? And then like chaos,
Yeah.
And it was just...
Then it became a question of how long until the arrow gets to me.
Yeah.
I start cutting the strings.
She's like, how many strings can I cut before I die? And I was like, well, the word's pretty much ending either way. That was definitely... I mean, we're 20 years later more, we're still talking about it. So that's definitely one of them.
For me as a DM, it was with Clive and
Fern.
And it wasn't necessarily like a given moment from like that was I think that might have been like the first time I ever DM'd with all of you guys.
It was like, well, with all of us, yeah. There was a short-lived one where I think it was just you and me.
Maybe us and one more person.
Maybe, because we played in the other room.
But I don't know, I quickly learned, especially it's something that keeps getting brought up every time I listen to one of your podcasts. It wasn't about what was written in the module. It was the interaction between Clive and Fern and the situations that they created. And it was just
Chaos.
Yeah. It's definitely chaos trying to DM you guys, but I can't think of the right word. Is you can't like plan for one of those moments. Your best laid plan is going to fail 100% of the time. But if you just lay down what's going on and the interaction between you two just created those moments naturally. Like, what was it? The mammoths running through the castle or whatever.
Yeah.
And
that was when the rules were only going to do this once.
Yeah, that whole campaign was a lot of we're only going to do this once, right, guys? Like,
yeah, and I mean that's what it takes. It's such a strange brew of different things coming together and happening at the exact moment that creates a moment that lives on forever. You can't plan for them. You can't predict them. You can't. Nothing. You just have to have the right strange brew cocktail happen at the right time.
And I think the thing to your credit was that out of a lot of the DMs that we maybe played with, or definitely something like I would have done in your position, which was bad, was once it started happening, you were like, I lost control. And you just let it happen.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have those memories as opposed to the overhand where you're trying to like, I'm going to fix this, or I'm going to try to rebalance it, or I'm going to try to do something. Yeah. But that, for me, that whole campaign, so much of it was like, we were coming to the table and like, wow, we're still playing this. Like, and me and Clive, me and Owen had this kind of sense of like, oh, we're just going to kind of suicide into the next group. And then we just kept
doing
solving it.
Yeah.
But the emotional heart came at the end out of nowhere where we're on the Kraken ship and I'm like banished. And he's just like, Owen doesn't see his buddy. He thinks this is the end. He pulls the flask out and releases the death tyrant. And I was like, oh my gosh. I love these two guys. These dudes. like thinking of this big goofy druid just sitting in like limbo somewhere going like, where's my buddy? I don't know where he is. I'll better get back there and help him. And his buddy's like, everybody die.
If Fern goes, everybody goes. He is the good in all of us.
It's just like, he is the one acceptable one of you.
Yeah, that's the underlying thing is Clive was a horrible racist and Fern was the only one that could convince him that not everybody was
the good one.
Yes, it was the good one.
Yeah.
God.
It was just two people that needed a calm person to step in and go, this is wrong. Everything you've taught this poor kid is wrong.
Sometimes they come back wrong.
And just yeah.
Oh God!
Everything you said just ended up becoming true in some way as a lesson, and he was like, "Man, I'm so glad that Clive's here teaching me some important lessons."
Yeah, that campaign taught me two very important things.
Oh God!
If I'm DMing, don't strictly follow the module, and two, for you guys as players, it's here's the environment. Turn you loose, and hopefully you can still round the story up in that somewhere.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, those are great moments. Yeah, I agree. All right, so I guess now that we can switch back to players a little bit. So as a player, let's start thinking about our ways that we can encourage the magic. So for starters, we can commit to character and narrative. One of us is really good at this. Deepen the investment. Make choices based on your character's flaws, bonds, fears, not just optimizing mechanics. Flaws drive drama and memory. Role-playing an irrational fear, even when it's mechanically disadvantageous, often leads to better stories. Also saying yes end to the scene. Embrace the GM's setup, even if it's weird or inconvenient. Don't fight the premise, build upon it. If the GM says the bridge is guarded by goats, don't ask why goats. Ask instead, can I intimidate a goat? Another good one here, which is embrace the risk. Propose the cinematic. Instead of declaring I attack, describe a risky dramatic action. I don't just attack. I try to leap on the ogre's head and stab downwards using the momentum from my run. Basically, this invites the GM to invoke the rule of cool. Be willing to sacrifice. The most memorable moments often involve a significant loss, a treasured item, a reputation, or even the character's life. True sacrifice is the pinnacle of a memorable moment. If you leave the session wishing your character hadn't done X, but knowing that they had to, you've created gold. I agree to both of those things. So I think there is a problematic meta with people... want to throw shade at Drake all the time. But like, I get this too, because I've done this too, where people start thinking that every problem has to be solved with some crazy out-of-the-box solution. And I felt myself doing that in some of the games we played more recently, and like, all right, like that's not good either. But absolutely, there's these moments where you're like, if I'm going to do this, or my character's going to do this, like this makes sense. This has to be the thing. Like, was it Rime of the Frost Maiden when the Big Yeti was coming out, and like I was like, we're gonna die, so I'm like, I gotta tackle this guy off the ledge.
Yeah,
and then we go through the whole thing, and I'm like, I'm dead, and they're like, oh wait, I was raging the whole time, so I'm alive with like 2. It was like making the decision that like, or at least weighing the decision that you're like, my character might be dying in this by me doing that, means like you understand the risk of what you're about to do. You're not trying to meta tweak, hey DM, if I do this, do I get bonus damage? You're basically saying like, hey DM, my character's going to stake everything on this. And so then you want the DM to basically turn back and be like, I recognize that you're staking everything on this, so let's actually do this.
Yeah.
It also leads to like rolling in the open, and you know, this whole kind of moment there when truly incredible things can happen or not.
Yeah, I don't remember which campaign it was, if I was looking for my brother or when I was playing
that was
brother.
One of the Halloween episodes, one where you tackled the guy.
Yeah, on the bridge, my character would do that, and I just ran and tackled him off the bridge.
That was a campaign where at the bottom of the thing was a Tarrasque, right?
Yeah,
sleeping Tarrasque.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like some sleeping giant thing, but I said it was a Tarrasque. But yeah, we're two of the characters were trying to get the guy into the pit, and then he was desperately trying not to, and then we're going to tackle him into the pit.
Yeah, so he had mind controlled someone.
I use this maneuver to do this other thing, and he's like, yeah, but I go in there with, where's my brother? Where's my brother? You see my brother?
Yeah, that was the one that got eaten by the slime cube, right?
Yeah. So you pull out the backup character. The backup character's first thing is, where's my brother?
Well, I really wanted to be a druid, and he got killed right away. I'm like, I'm just going to be another druid.
That's be a druid. All right. So I guess in summary, magic is
whatever
ephemeral.
You make it.
Yeah, those moments, there's no clear formula to make the people at your table have a good time. But the most important thing that you can do as both a player and as a GM is try to recognize when something impressive or crazy is happening and give yourself over to the experience, to the moment. Like, don't let fear of losing your character or fear of making a scene, like all the stuff that's going to hold you back. Like, let it happen, let it go. And
don't be afraid of losing your character. Be afraid of losing your character to something stupid and boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's like a double-edged sword, like the way I play my characters, 100% committed, right? So times can present themselves where you're like, man, if I did this might be kind of cool. But my character wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So that's like the bad part. But then something crazy is going on, and you're like, yeah, my character would do this. And it makes an awesome moment because that's what your character would do. So it's...
And it also lends itself to be said again, but make sure you play characters that belong in the environment and the story and the theme of the game that you're playing, because doing the whole, this is what my character would do, and your character is the type of person to just walk away from a situation doesn't lend itself very well to gameplay.
Yeah.
The player knows I should be here and I should interact with people. The character's just like...
Yeah, he walked back to the truck and drove away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, this is a short one, guys. Anybody think of one last moment that you want to share or talk about? I can think of some of my favorite moments.
Let's hear
gaming.
some of yours, because we've talked about ours.
So I don't know if these are good examples of a magical moment. Like some of them are like different things. Like I absolutely love the moment that I have on camera, Keith realizing that it was Setites.
Yeah,
that was like still one of the best moments.
So angry at myself,
partially because of that interaction between you as a player and me, but also because you had the two other people. Like I think you were kind of like, wait, what's happening? But definitely the two other people were like, what moment are we having here? And you're like, calm down.
Existential crisis for like 5 seconds, and then
of
relax.
course, I got it all figured out. Everything's fine. I understand what's happening. I know exactly what we need to do. And then the whole like, not just the ability for you to say that, but the ability then for them to like be like, well, what about these people? They're like, oh, they're already dead. Don't worry. Like unequivocally, I have complete knowledge of the situation because of one fact that just made itself present. And I was like, holy jeez, yeah.
It was funny because I was so frustrated up to that point. I don't know why. I mean, it was literally staring at me in the face because we had the board like 2 feet away from me. And it was just this whole thing where it was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm angry. I don't understand what's happening. Gray says 2 words to me, and then I'm just like, oh, okay, we don't need to worry about this, or this, but this is a big problem over here now.
Click, 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 math equals, yeah. Yeah, that was a good one. Another one I don't think we've talked about that often because I don't think I handled it perfectly, but I think I was learning, especially to back off and be like, it's okay to be mad, but I need to let them have this one, was when you guys basically brought out your phones, started looking up like basically chemical MDS sheets and ruined an entire encounter for me.
Yeah, it was funny because we blew through that. You're like, well, I guess we're done for the day. We're like, wait, what? It's only been like an hour.
Were you there for that one?
I don't think I was there for that.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a vampire game.
So they were playing a vampire game, and essentially I had built a whole thing where they were supposed to go to like a country club, and I don't remember. I think they were supposed to get information, but then also like screw it up a little bit or something and make sure they make a big stink. And
the whole, like, we had to take care of someone, and then we had to make sure we weren't implicated in any way.
And then Max, one of the players who happens to work with industrial chemicals, just started talking about what those chemicals would do to people.
And like easily accessible chemicals that you can just go to like a pool store and buy.
And then just compounded into them like, yeah, we're going to be terrorists.
It's like you have a building full of vampires. Well, let's pump it full of toxic, flammable gas, block all the doors and windows, and then just light the building on fire.
It's just like, oh, I did not prepare.
And then the whole thing was just like, well, how are you going to get away from this? It's like, oh, we're going to make it look like the gardeners did it.
Yeah, there was so many parts of that. I was just like, this is a flawless plan. I can't. I'm so angry that I can't. I think we're done. I think it happens. You get everything you want. We're done.
Oh, that was also the same game of, wouldn't it be funny if?
Yeah, that was my darkest moment.
Yeah, I ruined the whole day of gaming.
Magic moment, but sometimes magic hurts.
Yeah.
Just the perfect figuring out something. Yeah. Anybody got anything else to add on to this?
No. My nostalgia bomb is gone off for the day.
Well, anything else, Jason?
I really liked the moment you told me that who my sire was. Jason found out who his sire was.
The moment when you found out, or the moment when you relived her memories?
The moment that I found out, because I had no idea, because I never put 2 and 2 together, and then you told me when we started the Florida one, and I was like, what? Like, everything I was doing was trying to sabotage that whole thing, and it was the one thing my character wanted more than anything.
Way to
Yeah.
screw it up.
It
And I
was.
screwed it all up.
It was, I want to say I'm proud of this, but it was a weird thing where when you said, this is my character idea, I wrote down the only way for me to make this perfect is to be like, this is his sire, and I just wrote a paragraph of like loose notes. This is what happened to turn him into a vampire, and this is what led to him. And then you played it exactly the way I would have like wanted you to play it. Of just like, you don't trust it.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the biggest tragedy, Jason.
It was horrible. It totally crushed not only Jason, of course, but like me as a player. I was like, holy shit, the whole time.
Soul thing is just trying to find a family, and he finally finds it, and they're like, you're gonna have to forget us, and he's like, I'll find you again, and then he spends the entire game trying to kill because he doesn't understand what was going on. Oh yeah.
Well, on that high note,
on that note, guys, we hope you're having fun. Go make magic moments and
have a happy holidays.
Yeah, probably have a happy holiday if we don't talk to you again. See ya.
Bye-bye.